Hi, this is Matthias Chang again from Future Fast Forward. I'm sure after my address to you that I will defend Najib and prove his innocence. I'm sure all of you are relieved that despite my every effort to defend him, I failed. So instead today, having pity on Jolo, the Chinaman, today I will try to defend Jolo instead of Najib. Because I have pity on him. Because at the end of the day, he may be the sacrificial lamb for the crimes of Najib. But before I go into that, I might just tell you how ridiculous some of our ministers have been behaving since the press conference of the US Attorney General Loretta Lynch. Now, in the past, in all my addresses, I've told you that a key criteria of Najib in appointing his henchmen and women and cronies is that they must be loyal but not smart. That's okay. Not everybody's smart. So they are stupid. But if you are stupid and not smart, at least zip your mouth, shut your gap, so as not to expose yourself to more ridicule. But as you know, when you're a crony, you must bodak, okay? Really bodak and be a crony and lick the you-know-where of Najib so as to get patronage and support. And therefore, in doing so, these ministers didn't realize, not having proven to the whole world they're not smart, but stupid, but more importantly, they're absolutely mentally lazy. Otak malas in Bahasa Melayu, if I hope I'm correct. Otak malas, mentally lazy. Why? Because I would have thought that on such an important issue as the press conference of the Attorney General of USA, Loretta Lynch, and the 136-page complaint filed in court, they will take time to research, to consult, and then open their stupid mouth. But instead, this is what happens. The first idiotic statement reflecting the mental laziness and stupidity of one of the Najib's mouthpiece is Shahrizad. And in her press statement, she said that and accused the American government of interfering in the domestic political affairs of Malaysia. And she warned the whole country the dire consequences. And I would like to quote her words. The consequences of such tactics, that is, the allegation that America is interfering in the domestic political affairs of our country, the consequences of such tactics will get out of hand. This is what occurred in Iraq and Syria, which in the end not only inflicted conflict, but also prolonged civil war. So he's saying, oh my God, the suit in America will create civil war in Malaysia and there'll be chaos. Without even thinking, she uttered those stupid words. But then, to show utter stupidity, she went on to say this. However, Malaysia will continue cooperating with international investigations into the alleged money laundering and embezzlement. Pause that for a while. One hand, she whacks the US government, Attorney General, for filing a complaint exposing the corruption and money laundering and accusing USA of interfering in the domestic political affairs of our country. Next breath, she says she will cooperate. Malaysia will cooperate with the investigations by international organizations. Echoing like a tape recorder of what Najib said. That the Prime Minister and the government will extend full cooperation with all the investigating agencies. Next idiotic statement came from another minister, Sabri Chik, the Minister of Agriculture. It's no wonder this man, who thinks very clever, but his history, if you know his background, he was a full-time paid advisor to Tunku Razali. Can you wonder why, after all these years, Tunku Razali has never succeeded in his political career? Don't be surprised, because yes, this idiot, Sabri Chik, was his paid advisor. And he was paraded as very intellectual because he was a lecturer at some university. And then he hopped over and do what he's doing now. And he says this: what happened in USA, the expose of the corruption, money laundering in the complaint, is a normal matter in the country's administration. In fact, we're faced with a situation which is bigger than the Bumiputera Malaysia Finance BMF scandal. We should not make any assumptions or to perceive negatively the matter, as Prime Minister Najib Tun Razak himself has said that the Malaysian government would give its cooperation in providing information and whatever is required so that any decision made is based on principles of justice. In this matter, we should not make any conclusion, because no one can be said to be guilty until proven in court. My oh my. He's saying it's a normal matter. Quite normal to have just this kind of investigation. Yet, the Attorney General, Loretta Lynch, said this investigation is the largest in the history of America in investigating money laundering. But a sovereign fund owned by the Malaysian government. But to Sabri Chik, it's normal. And like Shahrizad and the Prime Minister will extend full cooperation. Lies. And more lies. And these two idiots of minister are liars and are lying. Because if they were to extend full cooperation with international investigative agencies like the US Attorney General Office, the FBI, then how come they can't even extend cooperation to their own domestic investigative agencies like MACC, the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission? Because after they complete the investigation, and after the Attorney General in his infinite wisdom say, no offense, Najib is virgin, innocent, MACC says, our investigation is not complete. We need MLA, mutual legal assistance, so that we can go overseas, get information about foreign accounts. The Attorney General declined. So if the Attorney General and the Prime Minister refuse to give support to MACC to investigate further, because without which foreign accounts cannot be obtained, and of which the Auditor General said that many facts are missing, many foreign accounts and banks cannot be obtained because the executive director, the board of directors, and the CEO Arun Kanda refused to give this information. Therefore, they cannot complete and come to a proper conclusion as to who are the ringleaders and the cabal, the crime syndicate, because there's no cooperation. How can these idiots, the Prime Minister, tell the whole world they will extend full cooperation to America? Bloody lies. They lie and lie and lie again. And they think we are so stupid that we have a horrible memory. We can forget so easily what they say. Let me tell you, you scumbag ministers, you scumbag members of MKT, Supreme Council of UMNO, we have the memory of an elephant. You can't tell lies and get away with it. So, stop the nonsense and make yourself look like idiot. Zip your mouth and shut up. Because if you don't shut up, we'll come after you and we'll pound you and expose you as liars. Liars, blatant liars. It is a sad state of affairs that our country is devoid of morality, sense of righteousness, sense of justice, and we are now in the cesspool of shame, corruption, money laundering, and crime, personified in the Najib crime regime. Now, next thing I want to address to you is that, right? Prime Minister, the Minister, Shahrizad, and some of the other barking dogs says, what is happening in USA is a silver suit, not a criminal investigation. Therefore, don't worry. Won't affect us, won't affect him. It's a silver suit. Now, that shows, right, again, how they tell you half-truth. Not outright lie, because it is a silver claim. But they say it's nothing to do with any criminal investigation. Therefore, no problem, forget it, not serious, all right? And let the due process continue and drag on. That's what he did, isn't it, Najib? He scuttled the MACC investigation. He sacked the Attorney General, all right? He changed the PAC and did a drag on. That's what he wants, to drag on. But let me tell you this. Let me explain to you in simple language why he's telling half-truth. In fact, he's lying. Now, if you go to and download the entire complaint at paragraph 5, page 5, the Attorney General of the USA explain what is the complaint about. Can you now focus on these words, please? Okay, I have earlier in my previous address explained to you the difference between in rem action as opposed to in personam action. In rem means you're going after assets. In personam, you're going after individual. This is how they explain it. This is the action in rem to forfeit assets involved in and traceable to an international conspiracy to launder money misappropriated from one Malaysian dirham berhad, 1 MDB. Emphasis, international conspiracy to launder money misappropriated from 1 MDB. A strategic investment and development company wholly owned by the government of Malaysia and the United States seeks forfeiture of property located in another states and abroad, including in the United Kingdom and Switzerland, pursuant to 18 USC subbracket A 1C, on the ground that it is property involved in one or more money laundering offences. Money laundering offences in violation of 18 USC sections 1956 and 1957. Pause here. They're not interfering in the affairs of Malaysia. Najib regime, Jolo, his cabal, his syndicate, has contravened US law and the properties of USA. They have contravened US law, they have abused US law and the properties in USA. And involved in money laundering offences, criminal offences be committed in violation of 18 USC section 1956 and 1957. So the forfeiture is in conjunction with the criminal offences of money laundering and corruption. Okay, it's not a simple civil action like in Malaysia, statement of claim. They are going after assets bought by money by the cabal belonging to what MDB, thereby infringing, contravening US law. Now, see, these lazy assholes ministers, and there are many UMNO lawyers, they're keeping quiet. There are lawyers in UMNO. There are also retired judges in UMNO. Why are they keeping quiet? Because they know the law. Alright, they know the law. And in the complaint, they have cited categorically, in blunt terms, the law of forfeiture is based on 18 USC 981 A1C. Focus. And I challenge these scumbags, legal brains of UMNO, the Prime Minister, Shahrizal, who is a lawyer by profession and a former magistrate, to use a bloody otak and do some research. 981, civil forfeiture. The following property is subject to forfeiture to the United States. Then below you have A and B. We're not interested in A and B because the title says it's 18 USC 91 A1C. So let's see what A1C says. C says this. 18 USC 91 A1C says this. Any property, real or personal, which constitutes or is derived from proceeds traceable to a violation of section 215, 471, 472, 473, 474, 476, 477, 478, 479, 480, 481, 485, 486, 487, 488, 501, 502, 510, 542, 545, 656, 657, 670, 842, 844, 105, 106, 107, 1014, 1028, 1029, 103, 103, or 1344 of this title, and any offense constituting specific unlawful activity as defined in section 156C7 of this title, or a conspiracy to commit such offense. Alright? So therefore, the forfeiture of these assets is not something purely civil. It follows because of a contravention of all these sections in the criminal law that forfeiture has been effected. Forfeiture has been initiated in California because the properties all right, are now located in California. Now, let me explain to you how forfeiture is effected in the United States of America. There's a famous lawyer who wrote a book called Crime and Forfeiture, called Charles Doyle. Okay? You got it? Crime and Forfeiture by Charles Doyle. And he's a senior specialist in American public law. He says this: modern forfeiture follows one or two procedural routes. Although crime triggers all forfeiture, they are classified as civil forfeitures or criminal forfeitures, according to the nature of the procedure, which ends in confiscation. Very important. Civil forfeiture is an in rem proceeding. The property is a defendant in the case. That's why I said in my previous address, remember the first page of the complaint, it is the defendant is the assets in rem. So civil forfeiture is an in rem proceedings. The property is a defendant, not the individuals. It is unless the statute provides otherwise, the innocence of the owner is irrelevant. Repeat, the innocence of the owner is irrelevant. It is enough that the property was involved in a violation for which forfeiture attached. Criminal forfeiture is an in personam proceedings, and confiscation is possible only upon the conviction of the owner of the property. Now, this is a very important distinction. Forfeiture, criminal forfeiture, the second type, is forfeiture in personam. It's a personal action. After conviction, after a person is found guilty, and law says they will not enjoy the ill-gotten gains. But if criminal proceedings are pending, and the culprits, the cabal, the crime syndicate, wants to dissipate the assets, then you go after the asset first. It doesn't matter whether those people are innocent or guilty, so long as it can be established that the property acquired was acquired by monies obtained illegally. Criminal money. Money has been haram, corrupt, process of crime. Then there's civil forfeiture. You see, so therefore, Sharizad, a lawyer by training, a former magistrate, lawyers in AMNO, ministers who have legal training like Azalina, Nazri, they should have done this research. You can tell the whole world the truth, but they kept silent. By that silent, they have misled you. So that's why today, I'm telling you, don't ever listen to these scumbags, these liars. They tell lies. Okay? Now, let me go further. Okay? I'm very grateful. There was an Attorney General, Assistant Attorney General from Texas, who came up with a publication explaining in detail how 18 U.S.C. 1956 and 1957 read together with the forfeiture statutes 981 and 982 come into play to give power to the FBI, to the Attorney General, to hunt down the criminals and collect their assets. This is the authoritative exposition of the law in which the complaint was filed in America against one MDB assets. Okay. Now, one of the things we're going to discuss very quickly okay, is money laundering. Okay, money laundering. In the context of the statutes, 18 USC 1956, okay, and forfeiture statutes 981. Okay. Why are they taking so much time and effort to go after 1MDB? Because, as the Attorney General says, money laundering is a very serious crime. It is an international crime. And it sucks and destroys the integrity of banks. Okay? So 1MDB, by their action, the officers, the board of directors, the management, and the prime minister who cover up for them have actually sabotaged the integrity of the banking and financial institutions, not only of Malaysia, but of America, UK, Switzerland, Hong Kong, Luxembourg, and Singapore. And they have the audacity to charge me and my client for having filed reports, police reports against this kind of activity, this kind of crimes, that we are sabotaging the integrity of the banking and financial institutions of Malaysia. On the contrary, by this complaint of the Attorney General of the USA, we have established the fact they are sabotaging. They are destroying, cutting out the integrity and reputation of all banks, not only just Malaysian banks. And those officers of those Malaysian banks who receive those ill-gotten gains and help distribute the ill-gotten gains to the pockets of these criminals, they are also guilty of sabotaging the integrity of the banking and financial institutions of Malaysia and the world over. Now, it's very important for you to understand, why do America, Switzerland, Singapore, Hong Kong, Luxembourg go after these scumbags? Why do we charge scumbags for money laundering? Because criminals need to hide, spend, and reuse criminal proceeds. It cuts across all categories of criminal activity: drugs, fraud, smuggling, public corruption, terrorist financing. Okay? And assets must be forfeited if those assets are acquired by these criminal money, this haram money. So, what is money laundering? This diagram explains very well. Money laundering is any transactions that seeks to conceal or disguise proceeds of illegal activities. This is what should happen. 1MDB indulge in money laundering, and by various transactions seek to conceal and disguise their money. They saw it went to various property, red granite filled pictures to make a film, buy Picassos and whatever, to conceal the money. And how do you do that? Spot on. How do they disguise and conceal the money? Example, putting criminal proceeds into family member's name. Aha, familiar's name. Who's the stepson of the Prime Minister? How do you get the money? So, it's put into a family member's name, the stepson's name. Moving daily money through otherwise legitimate business in order to conceal it. Red granite picture is a legitimate business. Making movies. So using a cover, a front, the legitimate business to cover the illegal money. Commingling dirty money with clean money in order to conceal it. Okay? So, in any bank account, they have an existing bank account with haram money, then they pump in haram money, corrupt money, money laundered into the account, to commingle, to campur, to mix. And usually, the transactions are very unusual and convoluted transactions. It's complicated, goes through many layers, all right? Hundreds of accounts. Use of third-party names or shell companies. Good Star Limited is a third-party company. Nothing to do with a joint venture. Blackstone Properties, Arba Investment, in BVI. These are all third-party companies, shell companies. There you are. And all the funds are miroja, jumbled, commingled. And in one case, US against Tracer, it says that depositing proceeds into geographical distant bank account, BVI, Singapore, Hong Kong, Switzerland, sending proceeds commingled with clean funds to a mail drop address and trying to convert all of the proceeds to cash as investors close in, show intent to conceal. Okay? And let me give you an example, okay? Moving money to concealed, for example, the famous operation called Operation White Shamrock. Alright? Google it, okay? This operation. Then, so stupid lah. Buy property. That's what they did, isn't it? In Beverly Hills, in England. Not the original lah. See, they're just copycat. They can't even do it right. Okay? They also invest in horses. Famous horses that one races, right? Okay? They buy a share, invest in a horse. Okay? Just as they invest in paintings. Alright? Nightclubs. This is what they do. Another example. Now, how do we establish a conspiracy for money laundering? In section 156 of USC, it says this. It does not require proof of overt act in the case of Whitfield against the United States. Right? It doesn't have to be shown openly. If they do secretly. Overt means open. Huh? Time frame within conspiracy, usually several years. From 2009 to 2013. One MDB ripping our country, conspiring to take the money out of the country. Okay? Also can forfeit all money defendant conspired to money launder, not just from substantive counts. Okay? These are all the elements, okay, of conspiracy under section 156. Then under section 157, oh my God, spot on. You know, jewelry? Oh my, all the diamonds, necklace, earrings, right? Bracelets. Make it an offense for anyone to conduct a money transaction with more than 10,000 in crime proceeds. So it's a crime to simply spend more than 10,000 of crime proceeds to buy a car, jewelry, handbags, aeroplane, yachts. See, so what this MDB crime syndicate has been doing, nothing new. They've been doing what all the criminals in the past has been doing, as illustrated by these pictures and explanation. And yet, they say, no crime committed. The complaint details, step by step, account by account, in the billions, how the money was laundered. And let me say this. Go to my website, www.futurefastforward.com. Scroll down the main page to 7th of August 2015. I expose all these things even before this complaint. And I explain step by step by step how the scumbags, these crooks, these rapists, stole stole 1MD money in the first transaction, the joint venture with the Arabs. And yet they still deny it. They still deny it. So, if there's evidence of money laundering and corruption and fraud, the US law allows 18982A1, 18981A1C, which is the basis of the complaint. Both sections authorize civil and criminal procedure of all property involved in a violation of Section 156 and 1957. So if there's any property is involved in money laundering, you can have criminal and civil forfeiture. Okay? That's very important. Because they will say it's only civil forfeiture. It's civil forfeiture because they have not been found guilty yet. The criminal proceedings have not commenced yet. We want to catch all the assets so that they cannot spend it, dissipate it, or transfer or hide it. What do you mean by property involved in violation of 1956 and 1957, Section 1956 or 1957? The word involved is an English word, all right? So what do you mean by that? The court has said, property involved in, quote unquote, should be read broadly and includes actual money or other property being laundered. Any property used to facilitate the money laundering offences. And there are two cases cited down therein. Property used to facilitate the money laundering offence is involved. Come with the meaning involved in the offence. And the second case, United States against Nicolo, the term involved in can consistently be interpreted broadly by courts to include any property involved in, used to commit or used to facilitate the money laundering offence. So it's very, very wide. So the moment we have any link, even circumstantial evidence to link the haram money to the acquisition of property, those property is deemed to be involved in money laundering and can be the subject matter of forfeiture. Okay? And the person who wrote this summary is Mary Nelda Valadez, the Assistant Secretary General, Attorney General of Texas. All thanks to her for this summary, and I hope that you have, by this very quick explanation, learned the truth about the nature of the complaint filed in California by the US Attorney General as well as the Attorney General of California. Okay? Now, earlier I said that I tried to prove the innocence of Najib, but despite my effort, the evidence is so overwhelming. I just can't do it. Because he told so many lies. Okay? Now, in a statement yesterday, the Prime Minister, bravado, says that we must be patient, and he hopes that the people named in the complaint will go to America to challenge the complaint. Well, I'm willing to be a lawyer for Jolo, to go to America to challenge that the seizure of this property is not lawful, not correct, because it was purchased by not monies coming from 1MDB, but the monies from Jolo himself or his family, or the stepson of Najib. You see, he says, he hopes, right? everyone named in the complaint will go and challenge. Okay? Now the law is very clear. The law is very clear. Joe Low, Najib's stepson, under the law, have 30 days to file a claim. 30 days from 21st of July. That means by the 21st of August, must file a claim. And then another 20 days to file all the answers to all the allegations to the 136 pages of complaint. Okay? So, deadline, 22nd August, to change the complaint. 12th September, latest, to give answers to rebut and counter the DOJ complaint filed in California. Okay, how must they do that? Let me tell you. To rebut the complaint, Joe Low and his henchmen must do this. It states here under the law, a person who asserts an interest in the defendant property may contest the forfeiture by filing a claim in a court where the action is pending, California. The claim must A. Identify the specific property claimed, B. Identify the claimant and state the claimant's interest in the property, C. Be signed by the claimant under penalty of perjury, under the penalty of perjury, and D. Be served on the government attorney designated under Rule G4B, and a claim filed by a person asserting an interest as a bailee must identify the bailor, and if filed by the bailor's behalf, must take authority to do so. So here, it sets out the procedure, how Joe Low, Najib's stepson, Hubaisi, and Hussein, those people must challenge. Let's see whether they can do it. By offering my services to Joe Low and his gang. And I'll do my best to help him. Okay? I hope I can do it. I hope I can do it. But let me explain to you further. Okay? Now, Najib can also respond. Not just Joe Low. Although he was not named in the complaint, he is known as the Malaysian official number 1. Okay? Now, why do I say Najib must respond? Because in the complaint, there is a numerous paragraph detailing step by step how Najib approved those transactions. They give rise to the monies transfer from Malaysia and Bank to foreign banks, as well as the bonds issued by Goldman Sachs, and from the bond proceeds, how you went to various other banks and end up in Joe Low's account in Singapore, BSI Bank, Falcon Bank, and to his pocket. So he has to answer. He can't say only those named in the complaint. He must also answer because he has been identified. He's number 1. Now, I'm not sure whether Rosmah Mansor must answer. Because as Flong, First Lady of Malaysia, she's number 1, isn't it? Alright? So I hope Najib and Rosmah will respond. But if Rosmah doesn't respond, because she's only a Flong, the First Lady, then obviously the First Lady has a husband, isn't it? Who's official, right? And that official must be the Prime Minister. So, we have to come to a $7 billion question, because it's been said that the Auditor General said that $7 billion cannot be traced. So who is the mastermind? Now, in order to determine who is the mastermind, okay, I must come to the rescue of Joe Low and try to defend him. Okay? So, since the press statement of the Attorney General of the United States of America, I have been thinking very hard, this Chinaman, alright, give me a bit of a chance, because I give a chance, right? I was trying to be objective, right? In defending Najib, I failed. But I think I must also be objective, right? And give Jolo a chance whether he has a case to be defended. Okay? So, now, what worries me is this. Before I can defend Jolo properly, since they say, Najib and his cronies, Bucking Dog says, right, we must not rush to judgment, right? We must look at the evidence objectively. So let me now share something with you, to you good people of Malaysia. At page 6, zoom down here, at page 6 of the complaint, para 8, you got it? The criminal conduct occurred in 3 principal phases. It's marked in yellow. I hope you can see it in my video. The first phase, para 8, the good star phase. The fraudulent diversion of funds from 1MDB began in approximately September 2009, the date in which the joint venture with Saudi was signed. Soon after 1MDB's creation, between 2009 and 2011, under the pretense of investing in joint venture between 1MDB and Saudi International, a private Saudi oil extraction company, officials of 1MDB and others arranged for the fraudulent transfer of more than, can you read? 1 billion from 1MDB to a Swiss bank account held in the name of Good Star Limited. Officials at 1MDB caused this diversion of funds by, among other things, providing false information to banks about the ownership of Good Star account. Contrary to representations made by 1MDB officials, the Good Star account was beneficially owned not by Saudi or the joint venture, but Loh Tek Jo, alias Joe Loh, a Malaysian national who had no formal position with MDB, but was involved in its creation. Lau laundered more than 400 million of the funds misappropriated from 1MDB through the Good Star account into the United States, after which funds were then used for personal gratification of Loh and his associates. Okay? Oh my God, this is a clear-cut assertion by the FBI, by the Attorney General, that Joe Loh is misappropriated money from 1MDB. And Joe Loh is a friend, advisor to 1MDB, had telephone calls with the Prime Minister. And the Prime Minister is the only person who can approve transfer of money belonging to 1MDB to any other third party. Now, if he says he's innocent, as alleged by the Deputy Chief of Gerakan Youth, that he was misadvised, he doesn't know anything, he was misadvised or played out by the official 1MDB or Joe Loh, then how come when this money borrowed from Goldman Sachs are not brought back to the JV or invested and went missing, why did the Prime Minister Najib tell the government, tell MACC and the IGP to arrest him way back, and bring him to justice? But he kept quiet. And the money came back to him. Therefore, he can't put everything on the plate, on the neck of Joe Loh. That would not be fair. Then Joe Loh, excuse me, become the patsy, the fall guy. But Joe Loh is not the mastermind. Let me tell you this. Joe Loh don't have the brains. He's a young punk. China Kwai young punk. He don't have the brains. But I must give credit to the Prime Minister. He has the brains. He has the expertise. He's also the Finance Minister. finance minister, right? So he knows everything about finance. He's not stupid. He got advisors. So he is involved. Now, this makes it very difficult for me to defend Joe Low. Because this is the first transaction. There are three phases, right? One is the Good Star phase, the first joint venture. Then you have the second transaction, right? Called the ABA phase, and third phase called the Tenor phase, right? But I won't go to the second and third, because if by the first phase, it shows clearly with the knowledge and approval and authorization of Malaysia official number 1, he took money and financed all these other associates, bought paintings, yachts and property. Oh my God. Susah lah to defend him. So again, like my previous address, I should not open my mouth so fast to defend him. I make mistake, okay? So I apologize, okay? Alright, that I intend to defend Joe Low, but in the light of all this evidence, I find it very, very hard to do so. And more so, with a punchline in the report, page 8, para 13, which I marked in yellow, which I will read to you. It says here, very, very teruk lah. Numerous assets, including the defendant asset, were acquired with funds unlawfully diverted from 1MDB or funds traceable thereto. As a result, the defendant asset is subject to forfeiture to the United States pursuant to 18 USC 981A1A because it is property involved in one or more money laundering transactions in violation of 18 USC section 1956 and 1957 and 18 USC 981 A1C because it is property constituting or derived from proceeds traceable to one or more violations of US law as specified unlawful activity in 18 USC 1956 C7 and 161L. Oh my God. That's why they have seized those assets pursuant to the contravention of criminal provisions under 18 USC. Understand? So it's not just a simple civil claim. The civil claim is merely a procedure. It doesn't affect the substance of the offense. Money laundering. Because in this last paragraph, which I've read to you, it says that the assets were seized because it can be traced to money misappropriated, diverted by this scumbag, financial rapist, this crime syndicate. What a shame. What a shame, what a shame, what a shame. I have lots of words. And yet, the Prime Minister, Shahrizad, Sabri Cheek, trying to divert our attention by saying this foreign interference by America in the affairs of Malaysia. Oh my God. But when Najib was playing golf in Hawaii, Obama, what song was he singing? What tune was he playing? Oh, Najib very close with, Obama. Therefore, Malaysia and USA, ini macam, same bed, sharing the same bed, close friends. So when it suits them, USA is the best ally of Malaysia. Obama, kawan baik of Najib. Najib has the confidence of Obama. But now that the Attorney General of USA, appointed by Obama, Loretta Lynch, filed a claim in US to forfeit our assets. Oh my God, topsy-turvy, turn round, flip-flop, or flip-flop, and say USA is interfering. But the law is very clear. Likewise, if there's an American company or crime syndicate bringing illicit money, drug money to Malaysia, and IGP arrests them and agents charge them, are you saying, Shahrizad, Sabri Cheek, that we are interfering in America? What rubbish! Shame, shame. You're only loyal. He already declared to the whole world, you're not even smart. He only chose it because you're loyal but not smart. But now, with all these statements, you're always shown to be mentally crippled, mentally lazy, because you could have, right, just appointed some lawyers, do some research, read the complaint, read the whole act in America, understand how forfeiture is effective. You wouldn't even dare open your mouth. You wouldn't dare open your mouth. And it's a sad thing. The whole bunch of UMNO leadership had destroyed UMNO, had destroyed the integrity of the Malay community, has destroyed our economy, and you have still no shame. Sitting there in the comfort of your chairs or whatever place you are living, giving pious statements that things will go as usual. And you dare ask us to respect the law, to allow the process to continue, when you have destroyed the law, when you have destroyed all the investment agencies. Like I said before, your motto, I'm not above the law, I am the law. This is what you've done to our country. You have told the whole world, you are the law. You are the freaking dictator. No respect to the law, no respect to justice, no respect to morality. You are finished, UMNO. You are finished, MKT Supreme Council. You are finished, Shahrizad. You are finished, Sabri Cheek. And you are utterly finished, Najib Tun Razak. Once again, to all my Malaysian friends, please, do not give up hope. We're not last for long. We will win and we will prevail. Because justice will always prevail. And you must have absolute faith in God Almighty. Surrender to His will completely. Has absolute faith that He will protect us, defend us, and guide us in the face of all adversities and enemies. And He will guide us and protect us on the road of our victory. Now, I know we are in difficult times. You are searching for answers. Okay? The answer is right before you. God gave you a pair of eyes to see the truth. So don't turn your head away. No matter how ugly is the truth, God gave you a pair of eyes to see the truth, that you may be saved from the lies, damn lies. God gave you a pair of ears to listen to the truth, and not to the distortion, diversion, and lies of the regime. And more importantly, God gave you your mouth to speak the truth, to tell the truth, the ugly truth, so that justice may prevail. Crimes and criminals will be punished, and that we will have peace. So please, don't be like the tree, one yek, see no evil, hear no evil, and speak no evil. Because the commandment of God Almighty to all of you is to see and expose evil, not to listen to evil or lies, but to truth, and more importantly, to fight and tell the truth, that the country will wake up and rebuild our country. I give you this promise. I'll be there for you, come hell or high water. The time has come that all of us must stand up together, united together, be one. One nation. Put Malaysia first, not Najib. Utamakan Malaysia, bukan Najib. With that, once again, I wish you all well. Be strong. Have faith. Have faith, we will succeed. Thank you.